Hi everyone, today we are going to discuss systems of equations. Systems of equations involves more than one line. So before we had discussed properties of a single line, today we are discussing two lines that work together on the same graph. Okay, so the first property we're going to discuss is intersecting lines. We know lines that intersect cross each other, and they have a point of intersection. Okay? So the point where the lines actually cross or intersect is the solution. So the whole goal is to find out what point do they cross. So if we look at the graph here, we can see that they cross right here, and that is at the point 1, 2, okay, your x and your y. Now, we've also worked with parallel lines before, and you guys know that parallel lines do not touch, and you can see that here in the picture, okay? These lines never intersect. They are never going to cross. And since they never cross, that means that they have no solution. We do know that parallel lines have the same slope. As you can see, the first line has a slope of up 2 over 1, and the second line has the same up 2 over 1, okay, which is a slope of 2, but they have different y-intercepts. The first line has a y-intercept of 2, and the second line has a y-intercept of -1. It is that same slope which causes them to never touch. The next type is coinciding lines, okay? They are actually the same line. They are identical. You can see the red is the first line, and then you can barely see that blue line with the blue arrows. They're actually the same line, one right on top of the other. And since they're on top of each other, that means that there are infinitely many solutions. Every single point on one line touches the other, so that means there are infinitely many solutions. Coinciding lines, because they're identical, they have the same slope and they have the same y-intercept. So this has a slope of 2 and it has a y-intercept of -1. Okay, now the graphing calculator can help us in finding some information about these lines. So to save time graphing, we can use either a TI graphing calculator, and here are the directions, which most of you are not using right now. You are instead using the Desmos calculator. Okay, so I'm just going to use the Desmos directions here. You would type each equation into Desmos, one per line. Okay, then you're going to zoom out until you see the lines intersect, and you're going to click that intersection. Remember, that's where they cross, so that it can tell you the XY coordinate. So here's an example of what that looks like. When you put it in and you zoom out, you're looking for these lines, and where they intersect right here is going to be that solution. So you may have to zoom out and you're looking, and I would click, whoops, let me back up, sorry about that. You would click right there and it would tell you the coordinates. But for right now, I want you guys to tell me what this coordinate is. Okay, so if I look, I have +2, -2. So that means I'm looking for number 1. Okay, so 2, -2 would be where they intersect here. Okay, so the same thing with this. Now, some of you look and go, but there's just one line. Where's the other one? But look closely. They actually gave us two equations pointing to the same line. That means one line is sitting on top of the other. Okay, so if they're both sitting on top of the other, that means we have number 4. infinitely many solutions. All right, in this one we see two lines that aren't touching. Now be careful, you need to make sure that they are parallel. So if I looked at my slope here, I could count up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. I could do the same thing, 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3, and those lines are in fact parallel. So you would want to count off that slope to make sure that they are parallel. Okay, and parallel we know do not touch, therefore they will have no solution. Okay, so this is one that we want to do ourselves. Okay, I'm going to do this showing the Desmos calculator method. All right, if you were using the TI calculator, then the first thing you would have to do would be solve for y. But the nice thing about Desmos is you actually do not have to do that. Okay, so I've switched over to my Desmos calculator here at desmos.com, and you can see that I have entered the 2xy equals 4 on the first line. I have entered the x minus y equals 2 on the second line, and it drew both lines for me. I'm interested in where they intersect, and I can see down here it actually has a dot where they intersect. If you would like to zoom in a little bit, you can, so you can see it better. And when I put my mouse over top of that point, you can see the intersection is at 2, 0, 2, 0. So that would be my intersection point. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back to my other document that we were working from on the PowerPoint, and I'm going to take away all of the pieces here. You can see we did not have to solve for y in Desmos. However, this graph does look just like my Desmos screen. It is at 2, 0, and since we don't have to do our TI calculator, we know right away our answer is 2, 0 down here. We don't have those extra steps. So remember, when you are graphing, you're looking for what points do they intersect.